Hi, this is Paul at School Bus Talk. On this episode of School Bus Talk, I'm going to react to a news report that happened in Tewksbury Township, New Jersey on March 21st, 2025. This news report was carried on abc7ny.com. So let's take a look at the news report and I'll comment on it.
Now, this happened in Hunterdon County. 10 students and the driver were on board at the time. Trash collectors who were nearby saw it happen and jumped in to help before first responders could arrive.
They spoke to New Jersey reporter Anthony Johnson. He's live in Burnsville with more. Anthony.
Yeah, this is the headquarters for the Interstate Waste Services. This is where those heroes happened to work. They were out there on their route early this morning before 7 o'clock.
I like that this story involves solid waste workers because one of my first jobs in the 1980s was working at a solid waste landfill, and I appreciate solid waste workers in a big way.
As a matter of fact, they just told me they saw the kids get on the bus, so they knew that the kids were on the bus. All of a sudden, they heard a loud noise.
This next thing is that solid waste collectors and school bus drivers have a lot in common. They're both commercial drivers. And I know that when I see garbage trucks and solid waste workers out on the route, I always wave and I try to be courteous because I know what hard work it is driving a garbage truck.
And then they realized that a tree had fallen on the bus. But we want to show you the pictures because the pictures definitely say 1,000 words. Look at all the damage to the front end of that bus. And this was a huge maple tree weighing several tons. It took a cleanup crew hours to clean this up, but they were lucky that it landed on the front end of the bus instead of the cab, because that's, of course, where the kids were sitting. Now, according to the bus.
Wow. This is a Type 1 conventional bus, and the tree just crushed the forward control unit. You can see that they evacuated, the children evacuated out the rear emergency exit because it's open. Well, they couldn't get out the front door on the right side because the tree completely crushed it. And let's move on and listen to the story a little bit more.
Driver, or rather the drivers of the garbage truck, they were telling me that the kids were able to get off. They helped them and assisted them in getting off.
Yeah, I blurred the students' faces. They weren't blurred in the news report, but here at School Bus Talk, I always blur students' faces just to protect their privacy.
Of the bus, but that driver was still trapped inside, so they had to try to help the driver get off of the bus. We're going to let you listen to those heroes as they tell their story about what turns out to be a dramatic rescue. One of the gentlemen who was one of the haulers, he was telling me he's a grandfather, so of course he would respond when he would realize that kids are in trouble.
I heard this bang. And then I turned around and I looked, I seen the brake lights of the bus. I thought somebody hit the bus. So I ran up and then I seen the tree laying on the bus. The first thing I did was run to the kids on the back of the bus. I opened the door and I started taking the kids out. I got the kids out on the side of the street and I yelled at Mario. I said, Mario, hurry up.
It was just very...
This eyewitness account is very powerful. You can tell this solid waste worker was deeply affected by this traumatic incident. Shows a lot of emotion.
Scary, frightening, seeing the scene, the tree on top of the bus, and we knew that there was kids inside and the bus driver, but everyone made it safe and there was no major injuries.
That's remarkable, that there were no major injuries in this incident. My heart goes out to all the victims of this incident, and I'm really glad that it didn't turn out to be a much worse crash when this tree fell on the school bus.
Yeah, no major injuries. Of course, all the kids got off the bus. They were standing out there on the street. They were telling me that once the bus driver finally got off, her biggest concern was for the kids, and she went over and checked on them. Everybody was taken to a nearby hospital. They were all checked out. Parents, of course, even arriving at the scene and taking some of those kids home right after this incident this morning. A frightening incident, but luckily, 2 garbage.
Great job by the school bus driver to immediately check out and make sure the students were okay and make sure that the students got treatment and proper care after this incident.
Haulers were nearby and responded very quickly to help those kids on that bus and get off safely. That is the latest live from Bernardsville, New Jersey. Anthony Johnson, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Well, that wraps up this episode of School Bus Talk. That was a remarkable incident with a tree crashing on the school bus in New Jersey. Please comment if you have any thoughts on this incident. Remember, safety is essential.